Alright guys, welcome back to the Bearcat project. So I just pulled the tape off. You can see here, so this green masking tape, the epoxy won't stick to it once it's cured. So you can pull it off, and if you do it right, you won't have too many voids to fill in. I got a couple to fill in, not a big deal. A little bit of shaping with some heavy grit sandpaper and a little bit of Bondo, and this will all be nicely tied into the fuselage. And once I get that done, then I'm going to cut this free. You can see here we got a pretty good fit on the fuselage. A little bit of a gap in the back, but once I cut everything free and kind of dial it all in, it'll be good to go. So we got that all sorted out. And yeah, we're going to do a little bit of body work, and then this part of the project will be done. Okay, so there's lots of little tips and tricks with working with Bondo. I faired in the frame so it had a nice flush fit. It had a little bit of a step in here, so between the front frame and this frame, and a little bit of step in here, so I filled it in. I pulled the Bondo right up to the frame, and then I ran a blade through here along the frame line while it was still soft. If you wait till it's hard, then you're kind of hosed. So wait till it starts to cure a little bit, then you can slice a blade through it, no problem. And it's still a little soft, but once it's dry, then I'll come back and sand this and then do some glaze putty around this area, and then it'll be done once I cut the frame out. So it's little things like that, like you can work with Bondo when it's soft and do different things with it. So anyways, that should work out pretty good. It should have a really nice snug seam fit around the canopy, which would be cool. And I made a little 1/8" spacer for my prop, so I just tried that out. And now you guys can see the radial in the daylight. Anyways, it's not quite that blue in person, it's a little bit more gray. And I'll probably add some more detail at some point, but for now it's pretty good. I mean, and like I was saying in the last video, when you first glance, you don't really even notice the actual motor, but you can see it back there between those cylinders. And those cylinders, and the mufflers are painted black, but they're sitting in there. So anyways, it hides it pretty well. And yeah, I mean, hard not to be stoked with how this thing is starting to look. So pretty excited. All right, so you can see I've applied the Bondo glazing putty. Basically that just fills all the heavy scratching from the heavy sandpaper and small imperfections. I really like it. It dries quick and it's easy to sand. So I like doing this before I hit anything with primer or paint. So this being a dark color, especially with just this rattle can on it for now, I'm not going to get too carried away. When I go to paint the airplane for real, I'll do a much nicer job of making sure that the surface is really good before I paint it. That being said, I think overall, I mean, being a glass fuselage, as long as you don't have porosity or major scratching or chips or anything like that, it's gonna look pretty good. So, but basically I've blended all this in, so this is gonna have a really nice fit. And I really contemplated not doing the sliding canopy just because this complicates everything as far as the fitment goes and making the frame and all that stuff. I could have avoided all that if I just glued the canopy down and called it a day, painted the frames on. But I really like the idea of the sliding canopy. I really wanted my Panther to have one, and I didn't get to do that. And this being a warbird especially, they land with the canopies open on the carriers and stuff like that. So definitely a cool feature, so I decided to keep it. And I believe it's going to be worth all the extra work. It's going to fit really nice. It's going to look really good when it's all done. So anyways, I'm going to get this sanded up, cut that out, and then I'm probably going to throw a quick coat of rattle can on this just to see how it looks. Okay, so you see I've sanded off most of the filler, smoothed it all out. It's pretty obvious now. You can see the original gel coat underneath this primer that was here. So now I've laid out a tape line, and this is where I'm going to cut the frame. I'll be able to separate the rear, kind of clean this up, and then I'm going to shoot some blue primer on it because I just can't help myself. And just like that, we have a new canopy. So this frame is super strong now. And you can see, obviously this isn't hooked up, but once it's all set up, it's gonna fit really, really nice. And it'll slide back to about right here. So it opens up pretty good. Nice. All right, I'm gonna wipe this thing off really quick and give it a quick little All right, so there's still a bunch of cleanup work to do around the perimeter of the frames. And again, this is primer, this is not final paint, so there's gonna be little things touched up and fixed. I gotta paint the instrument panel black still, stuff like that. There's a bunch of detail work that has to get done. But I had to pull the masking off because, well, I'm basically just an overgrown 10-year-old that can't wait to see the masking pulled off the canopy or the decals put on. But anyway, so I had to pull the masking off because I wanted to remask it anyways after being sanded on and painted on and everything else. But I mean, you can see it fits pretty nice. I'll go ahead and put it to the open position there. See, the pilot's just kind of chilling right now. But yeah, that's pretty much how it's going to sit when it's all the way back. And you can tell just by how nice it slides on the rail that it fits really sweet. So hard to be upset about that. Obviously, because I'm impatient, paint's messed up, but again, this is primer. So yeah, pretty pumped on that. Turned out fantastic. So anyways, that's where we're at. More work to come. Yay! Okay, so I skipped ahead a bunch. I just test ran it with the cowling on actually, but I ended up making some I got this high temperature foam from work, some scraps from work, and glued it in there. Basically made like a plenum so the air kind of has to go through the motor to come out the bottom. So I ran it statically for 5 or 6 minutes and it seemed fine. So got the canopy is functioning, but the air cylinder is leaking, so I may leave it unhooked for the first flights. I got some stop leak to see if I can seal up that O-ring in there and get it to seal a little bit. Got the tails, obviously, are all covered up and hinged, so getting pretty close to being able to fly this thing. I got a couple of things to address on the wing, but basically the fuselage is done. Last thing I got to do is just kind of glue this cover back on the bottom, but I'm going to wait until I attempt to get this air cylinder on the canopy working, because I can reach the back side of the cylinder from there, so I'm going to leave it open for now. But we'll see. I'm going to probably take the doors off, the inner doors off the main gear for now, until I can figure out some kind of mechanical situation to get those to close, because they leak really bad. But anyways, again, this is just primer. This is not final paint. There's a lot of stuff to address here, but I just wanted to get it all in one color, kind of highlight the stuff that needs to be fixed. I got to redo some panel lines and stuff like that. But anyways, you see the new pilot in there, fits really nice and is the right size. So close the canopy up here. So you guys can see how nice the canopy looks when it's all closed. Pretty sweet. Obviously we got the fake motor all set up now. You can see the cylinders right there. Anyways, a couple more things to address and potentially even fly tomorrow. We'll see. I did clean up some of the wiring, even though it doesn't look like it. But yeah, so it's pretty much ready to go. A few little things to address, and hopefully we can fly it soon. So hope you guys enjoyed this Bearcat update, and we'll hopefully see you at the field.